Hello, once again. Good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon, so this is the first afternoon time that I'm going to do this podcast. So, yeah, welcome to the Pop in Wrestling Podcast with me, Coach 23. It's a cloudy but beautiful Monday morning. I know I've been late a bit on this episode. I'm currently doing the laundry. Still doing the laundry. But yeah, so yeah, hope everyone is doing fine. For those who are in vacation mode, from the long weekend, hope you have a safe vacation, safe trip coming home, and yeah. So welcome back to reality. So it's November. Uh, I really have no agenda. So the agenda just came out of my mind uh, right now, if that makes sense. Um, So you are looking at infamous photo on my background of Earl Hebner calling a bell with Shawn Michaels executing a sharpshooter, no pun intended, to the excellence of execution himself, Bret the Hitman Hart. And this is the infamous Montreal Screwjob that happened at Survivor Series 1997. I wasn't able to see this live in person. Back then, like I said, during the 90s, being a wrestling fan is kind of difficult here in the Philippines because yeah, it's difficult because everything is delayed. Even it's in cable, it's kind of delayed. So I believe back then Montreal Screwjob happened like 3 weeks after when I saw it. Back then I remember 1:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday at ESPN because back then it's Star Sports and ESPN. They're collaborating with wrestling PLEs or pay-per-views back then. Pay-per-views are mostly the on ESPN, while Raw was being shown at Star Sports, but now it's a different case. We have it at Blast TV, we have it different streaming sites. So yeah, this happened. History lesson. So we're going back a little bit in time. That's 27 years after this happened. So Montreal Screwjob, what happened? Initially, the history of this, I know you can research it, but this is for my point of view as a wrestling fan back then and now. It happened basically started WrestleMania 12 after the famous 60-minute Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart when Bret Hart was a champion. Of course, in wrestling parlance, everything is predetermined. So back then, they were like going to put the WWF at the time World Wrestling Federation Championship to Shawn Michaels. So Bret Hart was giving the passing the torch. So and it was the same time that after I believe Vince McMahon and Bret Hart discussed that after WrestleMania he'll be taking a hiatus, vacation, sabbatical, whatnot. So Bret Hart did that. He went home to Canada. He filmed like a TV series called Lonesome Dove, few episodes, Adventures of Sinbad. But the thing is, at that time, even though he's on vacation on TV, he was doing like international events. So he was wrestling, in Europe, Middle East, in those areas. So he's not really in on TV, but still part of the company. Then he was really taking the vacation during the summer in the States. At that time, his contract was almost up, and so negotiations happened between him and WWE and Bret Hart and WCW. So uh, at the time, contracts are really much more open. That if you're nearly out of your contract, you can negotiate and discuss things to other parties. So that's what Bret Hart did. He kept an open communication with Eric Bishop and WCW when Eric Bishop was still the president at the time, and he made a generous offer. According to some reports from the dirt sheet writers, but Bishop said, "Nah, not that's not really the case. So it's whoever's story is correct. According to the dirt sheet writers or newsletters, WCW offered Bret Hart $3 million per year for 3 years, so that's $9 million per year, or almost 10 million plus bonuses and such. And it's a lot of money back then, and it's a lot of money even now. So Bret Hart listened and said, "Wow, this is for limited dates." Like I believe he, according to the wrestling again, wrestling journalists, quote unquote, limited dates as well, like 175 days compared to WWE's 275 to 300 days a year of touring and whatnot. So it's really an enticing offer. But so that's 10 million for like 3 years. Like I said, 3 million per year plus bonuses and not. And what's WWE's counter per Bret Hart's book, Hitman book, autobiography? Uh, WWE countered with a 20-year offer with the same amount. It's like Bret Hart will wrestle for like 5 years or 10 years and such for a certain undisclosed amount, plus being like an executive officer or like a backstage officer in WWE after 5 years, and 5 years for like being an ambassador to WWE, which is like a Legends contract. That's totaling to 10 million for 20 years. So it's like if even if I'm going to choose personally, I would choose that 3 year 10 million offer because it's much lesser work, I believe. But Bret Hart was a loyal guy. So I believe during October or September, October 2000 of 1997, I'm sorry, Bret Hart said no to WCW, and he said yes to WWE. He did it even live at Monday Night Raw, and uh, yeah, so that's what happened. But at the time, it's almost like starting the genesis of like the Attitude Era of WWE being much more for mature audience compared to being kids, because at the time during the New Generation era they were still using like kids storyline or PG, and even like they're still using like occupational characters for wrestler, like a hockey player at that time. They have a pirate. They have Repo Man. And I said Undertaker is like the most famous occupational job because an Undertaker is an Undertaker. So that's it. He just became a legend on his own. So yeah, everything is an occupational. So that's the time. Bret Hart's first opponent coming back from vacation was none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin when he was after he won King of the Ring 1996 as well. I'm sorry, 1996, 1997, 1996. So I mess up my years. So 1996 Survivor Series, Madison Square Garden, Austin versus Bret Hart for the first time. Bret Hart won via roll up. He did the roll up that he did with against Roddy Piper WrestleMania 8, I believe, when Roddy Piper had it in the sleeper hold. He tumbled back and pinned him, and that's what he did to Austin, which actually was also done coincidentally by November, a month after 27 years, by Cody Rhodes to Gunter last weekend during Crown Jewel. So he did that. He won, got a title shot against Psycho Sid at It's Time, I believe, in your house pay-per-view. Uh, so it's him against Psycho Sid for the WWE title. Psycho Sid has beaten Shawn Michaels prior to that during Survivor Series 1996 as well for the WWE title. Defended Psycho Sid defended that. I haven't seen that pay-per-view. Back then, the cable TVs were more like on the Big Four. So that's WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Big Five, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. So that pay-per-view wasn't shown, I believe, at the time. And Psycho Sid won with like interference from like Shawn Michaels as well, because Shawn Michaels was about to face the WWE champion the following month at the Royal Rumble 1997. That was actually produced at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Shawn Michaels retained. So this is where the time of this scenario started to mess up. So it's like uh initially, according to the writers, you know, because history could be factual or could be just rumors. So bear with me with this. There was really like story that WrestleMania 13 was about to be a rematch between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, so for the WWE title. And according to some stories, even Bret Hart's book, that he was supposed to go over, meaning he was supposed to be winning. So it's like 2-2 in terms of a WrestleMania matches. So Shawn Michaels took WrestleMania 12. WrestleMania 13 was about to be won by Bret. But during this time between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, things got messed up. Shawn Michaels said his knee is really injured, needs surgery. This was the infamous "I lost my smile" interview. Surrendered the WWE title. It's up for grabs. And Bret Hart was really really mad because the promise was you're going to put me over after I put you over last year to continue the rivalry. So it's like a three match rivalry. It's like I believe the story is like WrestleMania 12, 13, and 14. And Shawn Michaels didn't do the honors. That's, that's what the wrestling parlance what they call. So Bret Hart was really mad because he was supposed to have a match with Shawn Michaels. Didn't happen. Bret Hart won the WWE title for the fourth time against a vacant. Since it was vacant, it happened like February pay-per-view for In Your House, Fatal Four, Final Four. That's what they call Final Four. But it's against Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, and Vader. The rules was kind of messed up because you can pin, you can submit your opponents, and you can throw them over the top rope like a Royal Rumble Royal Rumble rule, and Bret Hart won. Then the following night, on Monday Night Raw, Psycho Sid demanded a rematch for the WWE title that he lost at Royal Rumble, and yeah, Psycho Sid won after Stone Cold interfered, and because, like I said, the messed up that Shawn Michaels at the time did, they were supposed to be the main event, didn't happen. So WWE management, scrambled and they're done. They don't know what they're going to do. So the main event became Undertaker, who was only like a WWE champion for like 3 or 4 days, against Psycho Sid for in the main event of WrestleMania 13, and then Bret Hart, a rematch between Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin in a submission match. Anything goes, no disqualification, no countouts, no pinfalls, only submission. And that's where, when, and where the infamous double turn that happened at WrestleMania 13. So Stone Cold Steve Austin was like supposed to be the bad guy. Bret Hart was the good guy, but fans are starting to cheer on Stone Cold Steve Austin because he's like the more real, the much more or really real character. The way he acts, he's like not I'm not a character. I'm a real person who wrestles, and that's the tide of the Attitude Era. Like I said, the genesis of the Attitude Era is starting to build up during the late 1996, 1997. Uh, that happened in the WWE. So Bret Hart won. Stone Cold passed out with that infamous image of Bret Hart putting Stone Cold Steve Austin in a sharpshooter with blood pouring on his face, and the double turn happened. And this was backstage. Backstage, what happened was Vince was negotiating with Bret Hart to become a bad guy or a heel, but not the conventional type of heel. Uh, he will only be a heel in the United States. He will bash the United States fans, despite his disagreement because his mom, Helen Hart, was you know was American, and his dad, Stu Hart, was Canadian. So he has fans. But the thing is, he will be a bad guy in the States only, but he is a good guy in Canada or elsewhere. So it's a unique situation. Even I dig that. And I was like, okay, it's unique. You're a good guy here, but a bad guy there. So, and Bret Hart said, okay, I'll do it because he's a loyal guy to Vince. He became a heel. He cut a heel promo during this time. I'm going to a little bit fast forward during that time. He repaired his, you know, broken relationship with, the late greats Owen Hart and British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. He brought back Jim the Anvil Neidhart and bringing Brian Pillman to reform or to form that version of the Hart Foundation. And all of them are bad guys in the States, good guys anywhere else. So, uh, Bret Hart was not the champion. Bret Hart was feuding still with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, who came back, who didn't really need surgery at the time, and feuded with them, with Vader, with Mankind, Undertaker. So SummerSlam 1997, Heart and Soul. They made no. Let's go a little bit backward. They were supposed to wrestle. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart was supposed to wrestle at King of the Ring 1997. The rules was since both of them were injured, Bret Hart was injured at the time, came back from surgery or like cleaning his knee and whatnot. The rules was instead of a 60-minute Iron Man match, it's going to be a 10-minute match. That if Bret Hart couldn't beat Shawn Michaels for 10 minutes or under 10 minutes, he will never wrestle in the United States ever again. So it was supposed to be that. But Bret Hart got his knee real injured, according to him. And what happened? Shawn Michaels was good, but the thing is, so they're injured. The match didn't go through, never took place. It became Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin because at the time they were like partners. They were even like tag team champions after beating the Hart Foundation. But they're like they hate each other. It's like a friend of my an enemy of my, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So that was like the scenario between them. Then Shawn Michaels dropped the belt during that time between SummerSlam and King of the Ring 1997 or King of the Ring 1997 and SummerSlam. Something happened in Hartford, Connecticut. During the time, like I said, reality, nobody knows what reality is or was. So what happened was Shawn Michaels did an interview because Bret Hart, for him, he's like a character still bashing in Shawn Michaels of not being a role model and whatnot. And Shawn Michaels took it like, from the heart, like, why are you bashing me? So what Shawn Michaels did was a little bit scumbaggy, if it's a word. If not, I'm going to hope I can trademark it. That he said that, Bret Hart has seen sunny days, which is, a double entendre of meaning Bret Hart, who openly, in his book as well, admitted that he is a serial womanizer. He doesn't do drugs. He drinks but doesn't do drugs. His drug of choice was sleeping with other women, and this is in his book. All right, not really a womanizer, but he sleep with women during tours, so it's like a little bit of infidelity to his wife. So when he said that, yeah, he's seen sunny days. So like said that, okay. So it mean Shawn Michaels give the entendre of uh he's sleeping with Sunny, Tammy Sitch, but it's not true according to him. It wasn't true. So what happened? There was this incident, I believe, in a Raw in Hartford, Connecticut. They were supposed to wrestle again in tag team matches, but they got really personal, and they have a fight backstage. Shawn Michaels left, citing it's in his book, Shawn Michaels' book, that unsafe working environment. They pulled each other's hair. I believe there's no, according to both men, no fist came flying, but only like hair pulling, hockey fight like that. Like they're just pulling each other. So afterwards, Shawn Michaels left for a couple of weeks, got suspended a couple of weeks. Then Bret Hart was scheduled to wrestle Undertaker at SummerSlam 1997, Heart and Soul. That was the title for the WWE Championship. And Bret Hart made this bet: if I couldn't beat the Undertaker for the WWE title. I will never wrestle in the United States ever again. And during the time, Shawn Michaels came back. Then there was this plan of him turning a bad guy per WWE management. So they're going to be both bad guys. Bret Hart was a heel, Shawn Michaels was a heel, and he begs Vince McMahon to be their special guest referee at SummerSlam. And at the time SummerSlam happened, Shawn Michaels was the guest referee. Accidentally, this happened during the latter part of the match. I saw this also in Star Sports now. This time it's Stars. No, ESPN still. So it on ESPN. The final moments of the match, Bret Hart spit on Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was holding a steel chair. Spit in his face. Then he was about to smack Bret Hart. Bret Hart ducked, hit Undertaker square in the head, and Shawn Michaels has no choice but count the 1, 2, 3. And Bret Hart became the WWE champion for the fifth and final time at SummerSlam. So, on their books, this was the weird scenario that happened at the time that even though Bret Hart was the WWE champion, he wasn't presented as like the face of the company because during that time, so SummerSlam, there were only like two pay-per-views before Survivor Series, so that's WWE Ground Zero and Bad Blood. Ground Zero happened. The main event was Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker in their first ever one-on-one match, and Bret Hart was like the second to the last match, the match before the main event against the newcomer Patriot. Bret Hart won, but Shawn Michaels had the main event. Following month, Bad Blood. That was the first we discussed this, the first ever Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, and Bret Hart was relegated to a tag team match with him teaming with his brother-in-law Davey Boy Smith against Vader and Patriot in a flag match. So this was the time that even in his book, if you read the context, he was really like upset that he is the WWE champion, but he wasn't presented as such. And this was the time that WWE was not really in a good financial state. They were just starting to get there. And at the time, Bret Hart was like the highest paid at the time with $1.5 million per year, and Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, I believe were being paid 750. And they were doing, according to them, they were doing the hard work compared to Bret Hart, which Bret Hart was doing on his mind, doing the hard work as well. So he deserved that 1.5 million, according to the dirt sheet writers in the book and whatnot. So, and that was the time that the only person who can breach or break Bret Hart's 20-year contract was Vince McMahon. So he told Bret Hart that, you know what, I will breach your contract. I will help you negotiate with WCW and see if we can get you your contract there because according to Vince McMahon, I cannot pay you anymore. So Bret Hart, according to Bret Hart, he didn't really want to leave WWE in the first place because he, like I said, he's loyal and he doesn't know anyone from WCW. Because at the time, WCW was being run by Eric Bischoff, by Hulk Hogan, and the NWO. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. So he doesn't really know. He knows that he had bad history with those people. But at the time, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash wanted him to be there. Even Hulk Hogan said, you know what, I want him to be here. Ric Flair, I want him to be here, WCW, if we can get him. So, long story short, at the time, Vince McMahon, breached the contract, helped Bret Hart negotiate with WCW. But at the time, according to Bret Hart's book, which Eric Bishop said it didn't happen, we don't know, is that he wanted to get paid the same as Hulk Hogan with $1 more, and Eric Bishop said I can't do that. So he offered, I believe, less than, $3 million. I believe 2.8 million was offered for 3 years as well. Bret Hart said it was 2.8 or 2.9. Eric Bishop said it wasn't, but we don't know. So, and like I said, this was the time around October that it was the contract was breached, and he agreed to work for WCW. And according to Bret Hart, when he resigned 1996 fall of 1996 with WWE, he put like a 30-day creative control clause on the contract. So meaning the last 30 days whatever he say WWE should follow. So I believe it in all of history of wrestling only Hulk Hogan have like that contract clause in his contract of I have creative control, meaning whatever I say will and should happen. So they were discussing according to the book. Vince McMahon and Bret Hart were discussing what should they do. Bret Hart and the main event Survivor Series 1997 was Shawn Michaels against Bret Hart for the WWE Championship, and Vince asked Bret to put Shawn Michaels over again, meaning Shawn Michaels have to win, and Bret Hart said no because there was a story backstage that when Bret Hart approached Shawn Michaels, said, let's bygones be bygones. I'm willing to work with you. I'm willing to put you over." And Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels said during his this is his bad days, like, "That's great, but don't expect me to do the same thing to you." Meaning he's not willing to put Bret Hart over. And now Bret Hart was mad, told Vince, "I will never putting Shawn Michaels over." So him and Vince were discussing the creative in for Survivor Series that uh, let's uh, let's just end it at the DQ because Bret Hart doesn't. He made Bret Hart said that I can't lose to Shawn Michaels in Canada because in his mind he's a Canadian hero. It's arguably debatable if not whatnot. He's like putting himself in the same line as Celine Dion, Brian Adams, the singer Brian Adams, and Wayne Gretzky as Canadian heroes. He's popular in Canada. He's big in Canada. So it's like you have to do the honors. Vince was like, "You have to do the honors," and he said, "No, I'm not going to put Shawn Michaels. I'm if it's like the case of Stone Cold Steve Austin, even Stone Cold. I believe at the time they were on agreement that he doesn't really want to lose in Canada during his last match there. He's willing to put like over Ken Shamrock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, or Mankind in like a Boston show, and he said no, I'm not going to lose in Canada. So according to Shawn Michaels' book this time, he and Vince, Vince and Triple H were in a conference call, and Triple H was the one who said or like suggested, why is he not losing or not doing the honors? He should be doing business. In parlance, should be doing the honors, losing to a wrestler since he's going out. And that's where the screw job happened. Now, there were like different stories. People said Jim Cornette thought of the screw job having like a submission move, call for the bell, or do a fast count like what happened to Wendy Richter at during the 80s when the first screw job happened on TV. Vince Russo said that on some stories that he was the one who thought of the screw job. Nobody really knows, but according to the most famous was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Vince McMahon. So, uh, according to both parties, to both books, Brett's book, he approached Earl Hebner because he asked who will be the referee of their match, and they said Earl Hebner, this guy, and he smiled because he believed that Earl Hebner was loyal to him. But then, according to Shawn Michaels' book, before that, it's either after Bret Hart approached Earl Hebner, Shawn Michaels approached Earl Hebner, or Earl Hebner told him that, yeah, I already know what's going on. So, meaning Earl Hebner knows that a screw job was about to happen. So, during the match, I believe the story that they did was Hart Foundation was waiting in backstage gorilla position. DX was waiting for the gorilla position, and there is going to be a double disqualification for the match. It didn't happen. So they both had like great match. Bell didn't even ring. They fought in the crowd, fought outside the ring. Then when they entered the ring, this happened. Long story short, uh, I believe the official match was like 10, 14 minutes, 15 minutes, and this was the case. Brett and Sean were like talking backstage, said, "Okay, let's do this. I'm going to put you in a sharpshooter, then you're going to reverse it." And so that's their move, according to Shawn Michaels. Here's what we're going to do. He told me he's going to put the sharpshooter on me. I'm going to reverse it. Once I put him or reverse the sharpshooter, call for the bell. And that's what happened. Also, another thing here, Vince McMahon was still like a ring announcer, color commentator, play-by-play analyst. And during this time, he wasn't doing that. I believe he didn't do it for like Bad Blood and here at Survivor Series, or I may be wrong. And that's it. He called for the bell. Earl Hebner was calling for the bell. The ring, the timekeeper, the ring bell, the one who holds the ring bell was like confused, and Vince McMahon ordered him to ring the bell, and they ring the bell. They rang the bell, and Shawn Michaels was declared the WWE champion. So a screw job happened, and at my mind at the time, 1997, I was like 14. Yeah, I was 14 years old. I'm like, did Bret Hart tap out? Because that's the position. That's the same position. His hands was like in the mat, no movement. Sometimes wrestlers tap out wasn't really like a thing back then. You're supposed to like verbally say yes, you're quit. I'm like, okay, Shawn Michaels won. And in my mind, I was even betting for Shawn Michaels to win because I'm a Shawn Michaels guy more than a Bret Hart. I like Shawn Michaels more in terms of being a wrestler. I'm like, okay, what, what does what, what, what the f, what the fudge? And like, okay, Shawn Michaels won. I'm happy. Then couple of Raws afterwards, Bret Hart was gone. And this is my point of view as a fan back then, not now. Okay, Bret Hart was gone. And the following week afterwards, there was an interview between Vince and Jim Ross. Jim Ross was interviewing Vince. He had a black eye. And Shawn Michaels, made fun of Bret Hart by wrestling a little person wearing a Bret Hart mask, making him tap out to a sharpshooter, mocking Bret Hart and what happened at Montreal. I'm like, this is confusing on my young mind. 14 for me is still a young mind. What's going on? Because I wasn't really parlayed to the backstage. I know wrestling was predetermined, but I was like, what? This is more in depth. Like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? I'm like, okay, that happened. Then I found out it was a Montreal screw job. And I believe during the story, the Montreal Screwjob afterwards happened in Montreal. Vince had to explain to the wrestlers what he did, especially to the Undertaker. He told them that he told Shawn Michaels and Bret and Triple H, lie until you die. Don't admit to anything. I'll take the heat. I'll take the blame. And that's what they did. On the infamous documentary of Bret Hart wrestling with shadows, there was like this small camera. Bret Hart was like asking Shawn Michaels, "Are you in it? Are you in with it?" And Shawn Michaels said no. Blatantly lied, said no. Triple H said the same thing when Bret Hart's then wife Julie Hart was lambasting Triple H, and Triple H said no, we don't know anything. So they blatantly lied. But for them, they're just doing what's right or best for their business. And Bret Hart was just doing what he thinks is right for his business. So I'm like, okay, but this is funny. This actually was actually during the Vince McMahon Jim Ross interview when Vince McMahon blatantly said that he ordered it that Bret Hart didn't. He made everyone knows that wrestling is predetermined, not fake, predetermined, choreographed, sure, predetermined it is. Meaning they're talking backstage of who's winning, who's losing, and whatnot. That this was the few instances that kayfabe was broken in a live setup. And he said the infamous quote of Bret screwed Bret, meaning it was Bret Hart's fault that he was screwed at Montreal. And thus, the aftermath of this story was like the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin during the 1998 during the Attitude Era. This was the Attitude Era, the beginning of the Attitude Era. Bret Hart leaving for WCW, Shawn Michaels being the WWE champion for 4 or 5 months, 6 months, got his way injured at Royal Rumble 1998, wrestled and put over Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. Then he left, retired for 4 years because of his back issues. Bret Hart was never the same in WCW because, according to him, WCW doesn't know or didn't know what to do with me as far as being a wrestler. And even for me, I have to agree. I tried to follow Bret Hart's career in WCW, and it wasn't really the same. He was the WCW World Champion for maybe what, twice, but it was during his after what happened with him and Bill Goldberg at Starcade 1999, I believe, or 2000, Starcade 2000 or 1998, yeah, 1999, where he got his bell rung, had a concussion that really retired him. So, and what happened with Owen Hart, the late great Owen Hart, during his time away from WWE. So in my mind, like a lot of things happened during after the Montreal screw job. WWE went, you know, great in terms of business. Business wise, they were great. Then Bret Hart has really fallen from grace in WCW. Was a multiple time US champion, wrestled with great feuds with Sting, Diamond Dallas Page. He even joined the NWO with him, Jeff Jarrett, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, Scott Steiner as well. But he wasn't really the same. I don't know. I really don't know. My point of view about this is like there's always that the truth really has is really on three. Sorry, how to say it. There's the truth. I'm sorry. The truth is actually threefold. So it's Bret Hart's point of view, Shawn Michaels' point of view, or WWE's point of view, and what's really the truth. I mean, a lot of documentaries, podcasts that covered the screw job. Nobody knows what really is real or not. According to Scott Hall, this is a work, meaning it's not real. Why? Because according to Scott Hall, why would Vince let the cameras or production crew still take a shot of Bret Hart destroying the monitors, destroying ringside equipment, spell WCW with his finger, and the camera was still on and recording it. It made sense. Scott Hall said that during the Dark Side of the Ring episode of Montreal Screwjob. For me, like that made sense. It could be a work, could be Vince and Bret Hart, duping us all of, let's make play this out like this. According to Bret Hart, he punched Vince McMahon with an uppercut. So it's weird. He hit him in the jaw, but he had a black eye. I don't know how it happened, maybe fall on a knee or whatnot. But according to Vince McMahon during the interview, I gave him a free shot, meaning you can punch me. So I'm like, what's real and what's not is really confusing, even for me right now. But the thing is, I don't think it happened for the better. I don't think it happened for the worse as well. It happened for, you know, maybe all the open or right reasons. Because things happened with Bret Hart, but now they're okay. He's okay with Shawn Michaels. He's okay with WWE. He he is a polarizing figure that one interview could be saying nice things about people, the other could be no. He's lambasting them again. So I don't know what happened. What really happened? I don't even know what happened with WWE if he stayed. Will WWE become really, will be able to beat WCW again and had this their success with the attitude era or not? Nobody really knows. Maybe in a parallel world it happened. Who knows, right? I'm a firm believer that a weird firm believer of the multiverse. Maybe there's a part of the multiverse that I'm a woman or whatnot. So nobody really knows. There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of regrets I believe that happened during this time. But in a way, things happen. Like I said, things happen for a reason. Hopefully, the all parties that's part of this storyline whether it's real or not. Hopefully they get their peace. Their peace. Meaning, they have to accept that what happened happened. Maybe some of them say yes, I accept it, but for them in the back of their minds they're still bitter about it. But hopefully they can get, they have closure. I believe some of them said they already have closure, but who really knows? Nobody. So this was really an interesting thing that happened with wrestling at this time, and even for me, like I said, in my mind, I'm like, whoa, I'm confused. But when I finally learned everything by reading, whether it's a book, interviews, and whatnot, okay, it's interesting, really, really interesting. And I believe, and according to Shawn Michaels, especially Triple H right now, that this thing will never ever happen again in real life because they know how to talk business now. So yeah, this happened. Interesting story indeed. Well, it took 41 minutes, 40 minutes for me to discuss this, provide my insight and opinion. Hopefully you guys like it. You can comment, share this video if you want. I'm open to like communication. Like I said, you can bash me, criticize me, you know, you can say good things about me. I wouldn't really care. I would care, really wouldn't really care. I will care, but I care about opinions as well of others. But keep it peaceful, alright? But yeah, hopefully everything I know I tackled everything about this one. You can correct me if I'm wrong and whatnot. Like I said, it's okay. Maybe I messed up some. Like I said, I don't have a structure here at this podcast. It's like whatever comes in my mind. I was supposed to like give tricks and tips about the contact center business for this episode, but it's kind of 40 minutes kind of long now. I don't think I can do this or can do that. Maybe tomorrow after the Raw review, I can do this. Right, especially right to the Filipino fans, Filipino fans of WWE or wrestling in general. Uh, Normal time now is already occurring in the states, meaning the EST is already over. That's my kid watching Bluey again. So meaning Raw tomorrow, NXT on Wednesday here in Manila, SmackDown on Saturday here in Manila. It all starts at 9 a.m. Not 8 a.m., 9 a.m. because it's normal time in the US again and in Canada. So DST is already over. So if it's 9 a.m. here, it's 8 p.m. in the States. So we're ahead again of 30 by 13 hours. So yeah, thank you for watching, listening in this mini, I'm happy in a way, I'm elated in a way because I have broken my record because in my first podcast, first few episodes of first 9 episodes, I only have like the maximum views were like 26, 25, 24. And yesterday's episode, I have like 45. I'm happy. Thank you if you watch this, like this video, subscribe to my channel. We really, really hope you do so. I'm still here to talk about, like I said, this is my cathartic. This is my therapeutic therapy on my mental health state right now. Whatever I'm doing, I talk to my wife, talk to my mom still about what's happening, my sister with what's happening with me. But me doing this kind of cathartic again, my favorite word right now. To me, it relaxes in my mind on what's really happening. So yeah, thank you for watching, listening. Please subscribe. Please like my videos. Whoever is going to watch it can share the word, spread the word. Do so. I really would really really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching the Pop and Wrestling podcast with me, Coach 23. Saying goodbye for a while. See you guys next time.